But my next guest believes there's a common thread running through many of today's biggest challenges. He argues that society increasingly rewards people who lack empathy and prize power above all else. And I'm joined in the studio by Geraint Anderson, who is former City trader, author of the Cityboy column, and his new book, which is out today, argues that psychopaths are taking over politics and business. Good morning, Geraint.
Good morning, Sally.
It's good to see you again. Yeah. So I've had a scan. I must admit, I haven't read the whole book, but I have read bits of it,
yes.
And I've read lots of reviews and what have you. It all sounds very scary, Geraint.
It is. I mean, essentially, the attitudes and behaviour that I saw in the city back in the age of financial irresponsibility, the noughties, seems to have spread everywhere now. And that's kind of what the book's about. It is a parody, but it's just describing how now politicians talk about empathy being a sort of bad thing, like it's a sort of career disadvantage. Politicians are lying and seemingly much more. There's this post-truth, post-shame world. Then you've got chief executives. I'm thinking particularly of those Silicon Valley tech bros who have infected the world with smart screens and apps and are designed to be addictive.
They would say that they've revolutionised the world. They've helped the world with their technology.
I know, but some of those whistleblower accounts suggest that the algorithms have been designed literally just to make our children addictive.
Well, there have lots of law cases recently on those grounds.
Suggesting this is the case. And then you look at those manosphere bros who seem to be recommending this awful, ruthless kind of manipulation of women. And so I looking at all this and I went, my God, this is a bit familiar.
But is it really as prolific as perhaps you kind of make out in your book? It's a satirical look, isn't it?
Yes.
At society, at business, at politics. My wondering as I looked through it was, is it this really prolific, or is it just a small, very powerful minority?
I think both things can be true. It is in the sense that if you are that small, powerful minority, that will seep down through society. Those attitudes, they embolden people to go, oh, I see, that's how you get on. You just lie continually, you manipulate, you threaten retribution, you only employ loyalists. And if you do that, it actually makes people go, well, that guy's pretty effective because he's reached one of the highest positions in the whole world. So
what's your conclusion then, having obviously spent a lot of time writing this book, analysing, thinking about it, looking at behaviour? What is your conclusion in the midst of all of this? Because we would all agree, we see a lot of it out there, and especially on social media. So what do you do if you're in an environment where that kind of behaviour is dominant, like your workplace, for example?
So how to con friends and manipulate people is designed to help you identify psychopaths and the bad things they do. Both in the workplace, you don't promote them, you don't marry them, and you don't vote for them. That is really the principal message.
But you might not be in a position where you're promoting people. They might be your boss.
Yes, true. But then you try and do everything you can to stymie them, and you work out what they're doing, because actually the behaviours are so egregious that they will make society into a far worse place. So my book really is trying to say, look, it may seem superficially like this is the right way to behave. And some people have said the attitudes and the mentality and behaviour that I am espousing in the book in a parody way are incredibly disturbingly effective. But the game, as they say, is not worth the candle. You won't be able to sleep at night unless, of course, Sally, you're a psychopath. And then you'll sleep 12 hours a night without any problems, no matter how awful the behaviour that you exhibit is.
Okay. Well, it's fascinating,
Thank you.
We haven't got any more time to unpack it further, but just quickly, the title of the book?
Yes, How to Con Friends and Manipulate People, the subtle art of being a total psychopath.
Okay.
It is a parody, but there's a very serious message underneath.
Geraint Anderson there, and that brings to a close Business Today. Have a good day.